Hey guys, welcome back to How to Build a Layout from Start to Finish. Today we're talking about soldering track so that you can make your curves, a little bit of wiring, and from there on, the next step after that for next video will be actual wiring. As you can see here, I've laid out all my track, except I've left one outer oval on the other end of the layout ready for us to show you how to do curve with the flex track. Now, one of the main things you're going to want to know about flex track is you'll hear all the time, make sure that the curve has the moving rail on the inner side of the curve. So basically, if this is the curve and this is a moving rail and it's curving like this, you want it like this. So, but what I notice is sometimes both rails move. So another easy way to tell that you've got your inner rail, the one that moves, is every few of these concrete ties, or if you have wood ties, flex track has a break in it. This side is all solid, they're all molded together, but this side has a break in a few, and that's for the flex track to make an actual curve with. So you want that on the inside of your curve. Let's go ahead and show you what I've done so far. I've soldered this whole line of flex track here, but once again I've left one piece here to solder to show you guys how to solder. It's absolutely critical. I know you guys have probably heard it before that you solder your rails on a straight if you're making a curve, because you want it straight when you're soldering. That way there's no kinks in the rails. There aren't these little angles in the rails that might cause a derail, especially when you start talking about faster speeds on curves. Also, you're going to cut with just some sort of pliers or something, two ties on each side. That gives room for these to slide around and the rail joiners to slide around as the track is flexing, but keep the ties, because what we're going to do is cut off these little nubs here, and once it's done we'll slide it back under and you won't be able to tell really. I mean, unless you look really close. If you're real good at it, nobody will be able to tell. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to the soldering of the rail joint here. Now you just take your solder, get the electrical solder here and your soldering iron. If you are a kid, you want to make sure your parents know what you're doing, or have your parents help you. Nobody make fun of my jittery hands. It's something that runs in my family. That's why if you look at some of my videos, if I'm the camera person, it's extremely jittery. So basically I just soldered the rail joiner in here, and you want to do that for all your rails, all your curve where there's rail joiners, but I'm not done. Got to take the tip of the soldering iron and run it back and forth, and that helps work that solder down into the rail joiner. Never solder on the inside of the rail, because that's where your trains are your wheels will be running for your trains. So you don't want any little bump that's going to cause the wheel to pop out of the track and cause a derailment. So I've worked it in there now. Going to work a little more in here. Now you got two choices. You can either work a lot in there where it looks like a solid metal block, or if you really want the realistic look, you can try to work it in more, but I've noticed when I just work it in and leave it, it still comes apart. So most of mine have like a solid metal block appearance on those curves. But you know, I've never told anybody that I'm a professional at doing this. I'm a beginner. This is my first layout that doesn't have easy track. I'm trying to take my time and learn, and then teach you guys along with it and let you guys learn from my mistakes. I've seen some comments saying, you know, maybe I shouldn't do this video if I don't know exactly what I'm doing, or you know, that, you know, I'm not a professional, yada yada. Well, I understand that, but the professionals, sometimes they realize that people skip, beginners don't understand certain things and they skip right over them. So I'm trying to teach you as I learn. So there, the joint's solid. It's got an excessive amount of soldering on it. You could always go less than that, like I said. I'm not saying that that's right or perfect. I'm not going to say this layout's going to be perfect because this is my first layout. I'm just telling you guys what I do, what I've learned, and how I've made it easier. Another thing we got to cover real quick before we lay this out is the first part of wiring. Now if you look around my layout, let's look right here for example, you'll see two little terminal joiners. Now you can buy these from your local hobby shop or online, and they've already basically are just wire soldered to a rail joiner, and they're they're ready to go. You just install them. But I ran out, so I'll demonstrate the other way. If you go on radioshack.com or somewhere like that, you can get 100-foot reels of telephone wire. You cut open that telephone wire, and there's several different wires inside: black, yellow, I think red and green. So you basically gut the wire, and you've got all the wiring you need for a track for pretty cheap. It's an old model railroader secret that people do that. But what we have to do here is we're going to solder these wires onto this track that's already soldered here. And basically we're just going to reuse the solder that's already there and solder that on. Now I'm not going to do this right now, but you just saw how I soldered. It's not too hard. I'm just going to plug that in and heat it up, and the wire will come on hard and then stay, and it won't come off unless you really rip it. And same thing on the other side. Now I've already done both sides of these on every one of them, so to save some time. But that wire that you're soldering there, what it's going to do is you're going to drop it, you're going to drill holes, drop it down under your layout, and then that's going to be feeder wires for your layout so that every section of your track is powered. Now that's up to you how far you want to go without powering your track, but you want to power it fairly frequently, and I'll show you why. I ran some trains over this double crossover when I had a lot of people telling me that trains were going to derail. I ran some trains pretty fast over it, and I noticed once they crossed over the other side they lost power. So I went ahead and put terminal joiners, power feeds on all four, and then hooked them up to my system so I could run it through. And then I didn't have any electrical interruptions or overloads after that. So you want to do it fairly frequently. How frequently is up to you. If you're a modular layout builder, I suggest every module. So okay, that's it for that. Let's just go ahead over here and start getting this track moved over. Now this is one huge piece of track, so if you can, you're going to want a helper. Fortunately, my helper right now is my camera person, so I'm going to be doing this on my own. Stuff like that occurs sometimes. It's really hard when you're by yourself. But what you have here is you're going to basically start laying your track at the joiner. And all you're going to do is plug up your track into your rail joiners here, and you're going to start nailing down the track or gluing down the track, your choice. I'm not using track nails because I think it takes away from the look of the concrete ties. So what I've done is glued it down, as you see on this one, and then I've nailed the corners down to help hold the glue down. So I've just taken like a nail, ran it through, and the head holds down the concrete tie while the glue is drying. Now, just in the essence of time again, I'm not going to go ahead through this, but all you do is line it up center, and you're going to run it all the way down to the other end. And another thing I got to cover for you real quick is some people are going to wonder, how do you know how long to make this, how many pieces of track to make this? Well, standard piece of flex track is 36 inches long. And what you're going to do, or what I've done, once again, this may not be the model railroader way. Some of the folks that have been around for a while are giving me some crap on my series because I haven't done things just exactly the way they want them. I did glue down my roadbed though. I think that is definitely a good move. You should definitely glue down your roadbed. One user suggested some, I think it's tack glue. It works good. But basically, I take this 36-inch piece of roadbed and I kind of curve it along, marking where it ends, and I continue all the way to the other end, and then it tells me how many pieces I need. Now say if each piece is 36 inches and you need an extra piece that's shorter, I would suggest putting that piece in the middle of the track. Don't put it on the end because it'll help it flex better if it's in the middle there. So that's all we've got for today. Once you do get to that end, you'll cut whatever's uneven, because most likely you're going to have one rail longer than the other. You cut them even and hook them into your rail joiner there. Just make sure you overlay it onto the rail so you know exactly where to cut it. For cutting, I suggest these are Xuron, Xuron brand rail cutters. You just flush it even with the rail and snip and cut it, and then you can file it down, or you can use a Dremel or whatever you want. But a lot of people suggest those clippers. They're very good for, but I would use them just for that. Try to get something else for cutting off concrete ties and things like that, because it'll break and or it'll dull them out real easily. Thanks for watching. We'll cover electric wiring next time. And once again, thanks for watching the video. If you didn't get a chance to see it, I just did a review on ExactRail's 64-foot Trinity reefer. So check that out if you can. Thanks for watching. See you next time.